This is Audible. It's not Audible, it's me, reading the first chapter of my book, O.Welles 19.8.4 by Vincent Murphy. O.Welles 19.8.4, a novel by Vincent A. Murphy, for Meekler and Spike, OTL. Quote from George Orwell, his final essay, written just literally a few months before he died. It was an essay on Gandhi. And is it not possible for one whole culture to be insane by the standards of another? These and kindred questions need discussion, and need it urgently. It seems doubtful whether civilization can stand another major war, and it is at least thinkable that the way out lies through non-violence. This is from Joseph McBride, quoted in his book, Whatever Happened to Orson Welles. President Roosevelt told Welles he'd make a great politician and urged him to run for his home state of Wisconsin in the 1946 election. Welles gave it careful consideration, even entertaining fantasies of using it as a stepping stone to the presidency. He finally decided against it because he didn't think anybody could get elected who had been divorced and had been an actor. I made a hell of a mistake. R. Buckminster Fuller. My vision is to make the world work for 100% of humanity in the shortest possible time through spontaneous cooperation without ecological offence or the disadvantage of anyone. And Bertrand Russell. Many are those who would conceive a utopia that they themselves could not bear to live in. Part 1. In. Chapter 1. Twist. It had been a rare doddle run, a long, lazy lollop up to the next stub station, delivering the usual ragbag of brags, boasts and bum smoke, fuel for the never-ending pizzle-drizzling contest between the station masters. Around noon, her ankle crocked, and with it, dreams of a doddle run, they dimmed darker than a dingo's dunghole. The pain, quick and vicious, has her hopping like a gut-shot roo, raining blue murder down upon the red desert. A sky-splitting yowl follows the realisation that the stupid fluxing foot is unwilling to bear even a skinny ounce of her skeletal adjacent weight. The heavy bush-forged torque fixed to her reedy bicep is spun in impotent fury. It's a small metal box welded to a thick iron band that marks her as a runabout, out and about on GPI business. As always, when stressed and thinking, she turns it round and round, though the box prevents a completely smooth rotation. Each awkward turn is accompanied by a faint rattle as the watch locked inside the box tumbles around. The watch is clockwork, thus unhackable, and has been locked in so a runabout remains entirely unaware exactly how much time they've left to complete a run. All they remain painfully aware of is that the later the arrival, the harsher the punishment at the hands of the duty resilience officer. The Global Permanent Insurgence believes all its runabouts should be constantly motivated to run faster, further, and for longer. As a form of secure communication, the lockpeck system is crude but effective, much like the GPI. Beneath a tatty singlet, the runabout's spine provides physical testament to just how crude and effective. The dense mesh of old, faded scars interlace with the more recent but markedly fewer. The runabout's mind provides mental testament to just how crude and effective. It, despite the agony of the ankle, bears no thought whatsoever about getting a DNA did not arrive, which is considered an act of incontestable automatic treason. A runabout contemplating DNA may as well self-terminate on the spot, which at the very least would unburden the GPI from having to dispose of their now provenly useless corpse. The preservation of the meaning of one true free demands such stark, ruthless simplicity. Here, out in the very Badlands, shades of meaning are just as useless as the paltry few inches of shade afforded by the countless tufts of shin-height spinflax that dot this otherwise remote, featureless land. And without meaningful shade, 10 minutes is the most she can hope to stay still, whilst remaining wholly exposed to the direct, overhead, pitiless noon sun. Any longer invites a throbbing brain rot, that maddening, screeching headache, which will make the by now inevitable lashing, lateness, that bit harder to endure. The best she can hope to gain during this pity stop is to gird some grit to better cope with the pain. Squatting down onto bare heels, she shrugs two rough, self-sewn roo-skin pouches from painfully bony shoulders, placing them either side of feet long gnarled to teak. One bag holds precious water, now near piping hot after her run of 4 hours without stop. Grimy fingers check the interior of the second roo bag, past the rough-cut tin badge sewn into the inside flap, past the messages themselves, past the string of the tinderizer, before finally fingering for reassurance the antique, well-oiled Webley revolver with its one single bullet. Should she encounter any terrorists, her first task will be to yank the string to spark the combustible tinderizer, which will ignite a small fireball, destroying all the written messages. Her second task will be to extract the revolver, press it against her own temple, yank the trigger, and thus destroy all the verbal messages inside her head. It's another stark, simple way to keep the meaning of one true free alive. The 10 minutes passed in a moistureless blink. Despite the now ever-present pain, she hauls her tattered self back up onto 1.5 feet and sets off at a brisk hobble. Her progress along the dusty path regularly punctuated by groans, grit-teeth gurning, and single-minded tungsten determination not to DNA. The loose dirt track follows the bed of a bone-bleached creek running parallel to the great barrier of grief, its despised presence looming as ever, large in the middle distance and forever in her life. For 3 hours she grinds on in a state of solid torture. She's one squeezed inch from total collapse, when the Stubbs station's shabby corrugated iron perimeter finally comes within reach. Even this far out, she picks up the all too familiar reek of goulash, doled out at noon in every station. It's the staple offering to all who are hungry enough to try to eat it. The goulash has become the most common requested last meal of the condemned, providing them with one final display of bravery, recklessness or penance. Well, that plus death is pretty much the only guaranteed way to remove its aftertaste. The crocked ankle will provide no defence for lateness. Well-honed in-head calculations estimate a 9-minute overrun. That's standard punishment, and that standard punishment will be a skin-scouring but just tolerable 5 lashes. That from the resilient officer's spine kisser. However, that, stacked on top of the banjak's foot, that offered a combo that could leave her in an unfit state for the next, more gruelling and much more important run. World-weary beyond scant years, the crocked-up, parch-mouthed, skin-and-bones runabout limps on to her destination, the stub station's pizzle-poor excuse for a gatehouse. Thank you for listening. The book is available on Kindle. The link is below.